Hi everyone, I'm Natalia and welcome to my channel and welcome to class 4 on shadow work with tarot and oracle cards, mini series for beginners. As you know, I do have a very intensive step-by-step class on shadow work with tarot and cards where I share my method and also how to do it. Link below if you're interested. In this particular episode number 4, we will be talking about decks that are conducive, that are really good idea in order to engage with this work. And I will share with you my pet peeve and my opinion on um, some ideas about decks and shadow work. Having said that, I'm also going to link below video 1, 2, 3 in case if you are starting off with this video and you want to see those 3 videos in a mini series. They're also going to be in a playlist called Shadow Work and Tarot for Beginners. So help yourself to that as well. So let's start off. This is such a fun video. I will be sharing some tarot and oracle decks. I won't be sharing a whole bunch because in the class, I do have a very intensive 2-part video where I share a tremendous amount of oracle and tarot decks, which now I realize some of them I don't even have on my list anymore because things move through my circulations through my hands all of the time. And I just want to be mindful and fair to people who did actually pay for the class and not kind of, give away the whole enchilada. So if you want the whole enchilada, you can purchase the class. But I will be sharing an examples and giving you an idea because this is a series for beginners so that you at least can have an idea what to look for and what deck might be most helpful. For starters, let me get my pet peeve out of the way. This is my opinion. You may have a different opinion, and that's totally valid. And if you want to share your opinion down below, please feel free to do so. In my opinion, there is no such thing as the shadow tarot deck or the shadow oracle deck. I know that there is now becoming some tarot and even oracle decks that are marketed towards specifically shadow work or claim to be the shadow deck. And I think that's fine. And what I often see implied by those creators and what I often see created in their deck is that the deck tends to be a little bit more dark themed and which also tends to be associated oftentimes with shadow work. And the keywords are often going to be more of a darker theme or more negative, you would say less positive in nature. And that's what usually I see when people say to this, I have created shadow oracle, I have created a shadow deck. I have seen over the years people when they talk about shadow work recommending decks, and most of the times, if not all of the times, the decks that are shown again are going to be dark themed in nature. Tarot of the Vampires is classic ones. People say I'm going to do shadow work, I'm using Tarot Vampires. Lucy Cavendish, Les Van Pierce Oracle is another one, this big idol. Another one that comes to mind is, I just had it recently on my, when you have something and it's on the tip of your tongue and it escapes you. Oh my God, there's another one that is also dark scene. The Goetia, Tarot Goetia, using Goetic demons is another one that people see as a shadow deck. So as you can see, there's a pattern, right? Often people will say that the decks that have darker theme, and by darker theme, it will be something to the extent of vampires, demons, it's the color palette is black. Merger of Crows is another one that people say shadow deck. So we're looking at something that has darker coloration, black and theme, and negative or less of a positive keywords. I strongly, personally, again, this is just me, I disagree. And let me give you my explanation why I disagree in case if you have been looking at those decks as shadow decks, perhaps this will help you modify your view of it. And if not, that's fine too. You can continue to see them as shadow decks. As you know, I know, and as per Carl Jung, shadow is not all bad. Not everything that lurks within our shadow is bad. There's a lot within ourselves that is good. There's a lot of who we are that we repressed because society has told us it's not good, but there's nothing bad about it. Sexuality comes to mind. Your gender identity may come to mind. as a woman, your ability to speak up and be strong comes to mind. So as you can see, it's not all bad. To me, as a psychologist, when we say that I'm going to do shadow work, I know for a fact that anybody who says they're going to do shadow work are going to experience resistance. Even if you don't consciously think you're resistant, even if you feel excited and very eager, which is fantastic to feel, I promise you, there's going to be a part of ego you may be not in touch with that's going to be pushing away from it because ego doesn't want to do shadow work. It was ego's job and responsibility to repress things it didn't want to integrate, things that it did not want to associate with. So it's a gatekeeper between those parts of yourself and who you really are, because ego hasn't yet realized that those parts are not bad, because ego still operates on things. Oh no, that's bad. Let's not go in the basement. Don't go in the basement. So if shadow is like a basement in your house and yourself in the house, ego is like, heck no, don't go there. Don't go there. It's scary there. But it's not. And you can discover wonderful things in there that are amazing. You can discover treasures that needs to be dusted off. So for that reason, you're going to be feeling resistance whether you're aware of it or not. And let me tell you, shadow work is fucking hard. It is difficult. One of the reasons why it's difficult is because we're so resistant to it. Two, one of the things human beings, everybody, myself included, do not want to do on this planet, even though we talk about it all the time, we do not want to change. We talk about change and how much we love change, but change is the most difficult thing for all of us to do. Look at anything in your life you ever tried to change: your diet routine, your exercise habits, your sleep pattern habits, your reading habits, you name it, your social media engagement habits. Those are really hard to break because we creatures of habits. And once we get habituated, we don't want to change them. So shadow work demands change from us. Not only that, before change can happen, it demands for us to look in the mirror and really see who we are. And it's very hard for us to look in the mirror because then we have to acknowledge and accept things we've been avoiding. We've been telling ourselves don't exist. We've been righteously justifying for ourselves. So for that reason, shadow work is so difficult for all of us to do. When we are saying we're going to do shadow work and we're going to use a shadow deck and it's tarot vampires or it's Goetia tarot or some other dark sim deck, we are psychically telling our psyche that we're sitting down to do dark work and we're going to go into dark places, and we have associations to the word dark. We have associations to the word dark in polarity to association to the word light, to the word white. We all do. This is just culturally engraved within us, right? Therefore, we see dark as evil, dark as bad, white as good. I mean, don't even go there, but you know where I'm going. You know what I mean by that. So it's not conducive or helpful to you because there's so much good within your shadow. It's not all black. And if you tell yourself it's a black work I'm going to be doing, then you're going to be even that much more resistant. So that's my personal number one pet peeve with dark sim decks and perpetuation, that's what you need for shadow work. You can do shadow work super effectively with the most love and light, fluffy daffy, rainbow, unicorn type of deck. You can do probably even better work because you're going to be more receptive and open to it than using a deck that is going to be slam up front, honest, to the point. Deviant Moon is another one people say it's a shadow work deck because people say, oh, it confronts me, challenges me. I would argue that that's not necessarily always a good thing. Sometimes what comes up from our shadow is too much to handle. We need to be gentle with ourselves. And getting something slapped down that is so confrontational and upfront, I don't know anybody else who's not going to put up hands and say, heck no, I'm not going there. And if anything, you're going to be delaying acceptance part for yourself of the shadow work, and you're going to be delaying integration. So keep that in mind. Again, this is just my beef with it. You may completely disagree. This is why we all have voices. We all have our way of seeing and thinking. And if you disagree, super valid. Just comment below and say, hey, Nat, I actually think dark themed are the best way for shadow work, and here's why. Share your opinion, because there's no one right way to look at it. Having said that, I do think there are still some decks that are going to be a little bit more insightful, helpful, better for this type of work. And I want to give you kind of a foundation, how to look at them and how to think about those decks. So then you can look at your collection and you have a clear idea what might help you at particular instances, particular moments. For starters, one of the best decks that you can ever work with for shadow work is a deck such as Zo's deck or Rider-Waite-Smith or Marseille deck. Those are three classics, three absolute classics, and we all know them. And you either familiar with one, two, or all three of them. And probably one of them might be you beloved, like for me, it's Zo's. It might be the best starting point because those three decks are very, very balanced. They're all very balanced. They have really good balance between things that are opening you up, things that challenge you, things you need to look at, things you need to address. For that reason, if you have this and you love this, great starting point. If you have Rider-Waite-Smith and you love that deck, that's a great starting point. You don't need Terror of Vampires. You don't need Deviant Moon. You can if you want to. But remember, we're talking about a work that is very challenging. There's a lot of resistance. And if you're just starting out, give yourself some time, see how it feels, see how it works. And then if you feel like, you know what, my Rider-Waite-Smith, my Zo's deck, my Marseille deck is just not enough to uncover what I'm looking for, then reach for something different. But these are going to be starting great points. We're looking for balance. A balanced stack is going to be really, really good. Think about the word balance when you're looking at your tarot collection. Which deck feels like it's a very good balancer here? I want to think about the deck, and I think I said this in a video when I did this video many years ago. You want to think of a deck as a coach, right? As a training coach. When you're trying to get physically trained, you want a coach that knows when to push and challenge you. And you want to have a coach that knows when to motivate and support you and praise you, right? That's a balanced coach. You don't want a coach that just sits back and just says, you're doing wonderful, keep going, but you see no changes and you see no results. You also don't want to have a coach like, oh my God, one time I went to a fitness like CrossFit session with my hairdresser in LA. She's like, you gotta go, we gotta work out together. Let's have a pair session. This coach, it's it was not for me. I was crawling on all my fours for a month. I couldn't sit down on my butt for a week. I couldn't like it was so everything ached so bad. And maybe it's because my body is in such shambles, or maybe it's because the coach felt like she needed to show me everything and anything and have me do every single routine. So what I'm saying is that you also don't want to have a deck that's too much, so much that then you're sore for a whole month and you pull back. So you see where I'm going with that. You want to look at your deck as a trainer. And you want to ask yourself, are you going to train me? Are you going to be to sit back and not challenge me? Are you going to be so difficult that I will be sore and I'll be crawling? Or are you going to be supportive when I need you to support me? And are you going to be challenging when I need you to challenge me? So that's what you want to keep in mind. Ask yourself, which one of my tarot collection is a coach who is going to be there to coach me? And the chances are you're looking for that balanced deck. Now, when I said early, even fluffy, very, very soft deck can do wonders. Yes, it can, because if you uncover that you're working on something that you feel tremendous amount of guilt, shame toward, maybe even something that connected to wound and way too much to process, that deck, even though on the surface may look soft, is enough to help you move first that feeling phase where lots of feelings come to the surface before you can start seeing how to integrate and how to take things in. So keep that in mind. So we're looking for something that is a balance. One of my favorite for shadow work are all of Lucy Cavendish oracles with the big eye. And this particular deck, a beautiful, I believe it's called Beautiful. I think it's Beautiful, right? Or Curious. It's like Curious Creatures or Beautiful Creatures tarot deck. I'll tell you why I love this one for shadow work and also Lucy Cavendish oracles. One of the reasons because this is very balanced. It is like that coach that will tell you when you need to pull and will snuggle next to you. It is also, I find for me, when we having a deck that is, for me personally, this deck makes me feel playful, makes me feel less defensive, less guarded. My wall goes down a little bit when I look at this deck. It makes me feel like I'm a little kid again. For me personally, this works because then I step into shadow work less resistant. And so for you, it may do the same. If you absolutely hate big eye dolls and they freak the hell out of you, please do not reach for this deck. Again, you do not want a trainer. You do not want to have a training coach that scares the shit out of you. You want a training coach that you feel you can trust. You feel like they got you back. You feel like they're going to be there for you. But for me, it is this one, and all of the Lucy Cavendish is really, really fantastic. So I highly recommend this. I'm going to recommend some of you just so you can get some idea of what I'm talking about in terms of balance and how to look for it in your collection. Another good type of decks that is going to be for conducive. I don't want to say good for shadow work because that's like being reversing back on me saying there's no such thing as shadow decks. Oh, but this store are great for shadow decks. So please just don't misunderstand me. They're going to be more conducive to the work. As you can see, they have a lot of color. As you can see, they are have colors or not dark theme decks. This is my favorite all-time Chariot card. This one is Selima Telesma Tarot, which my friend Barb sent me. Thank you so much, Barb, if you happen to watch this. And this is Ritual Tarot by Tierra May. Why am I suggesting this type or any type of collage decks? We're talking about collage. Collages are great because sometimes when we look at collage decks, you're not immediately going to have a feeling that you're looking at something specific, and you're not going to have maybe an immediate reaction that you may have to, for example, right here, this is a really good example. So in my beloved deck, I don't know when I'm going to be over this card. I hate this card so much. Failure. Maybe I just hate the word failure. Maybe I don't like to fail. I don't know what it is. Although I failed so many times and continue to fail and learn the most from my failures. But this is my nemesis. So you can already see how my body tenses, how I talk about it, how much I don't like this card, because this deck is so familiar to me. So if I use this deck for shadow work and this might come up, imagine how immediately it will make me tense. So that's another thing to consider, is how familiar are some cards in the deck are for you. But when you're doing a deck that is collage, that maybe is not that familiar to you and you haven't worked with for a while, you can imagine that if I got 7 of discs from this deck or even from TRMA, it will not going to make me have that reaction at all. In fact, TRMA has 7 of discs where there's mountains and discs are scattered and there's a cow in the distance. Oh, here it is. Great time. There's cows herding. So it doesn't make me feel that way at all. I get very different associations. So for that reason, collage is great. You don't know immediately what you're looking for. You're taking your time. You can breathe a little bit. And the most important, collages are filled with images. And images are psychic nutrients. Images are perfect for our unconscious. This is why we dream in images. They give you those essential minerals you need. So when you have when you do a reading and you get images, you can free associate. And when you free associate with shadow work, that's amazing, because then you can get at the root of what underneath you trigger. As I said in another videos, you're going to need a trigger for this. And when you free associate, you can really, really start journaling on these cards, and you can really start. So, like for example, here you can really start. What is my associations to love and intimacy and romance? What my associations to alcoholic beverage, to strawberries, makes me think of sensuality and lux and sexuality and other things. And how do I feel about all of that? And you just keep writing and writing and writing until you get the aha moment. So collage decks are going to be a really good other ways to look when you're searching for shadow deck. Consider collage, because it's going to bust you open. It's going to allow you that element of free association, and it's going to be great for journaling. Another great one to consider when you are looking for a deck for shadow work is something like Circle of Doors. As you know, I absolutely adore this deck. Because this particular deck and the way the guidebook is written, the guidebook is very soulful. So in this case, you're looking for something that has a tendency to open you up and break through the resistance, because it's written in such a humane and such soulful, poetic way. I have went back recently to study in depth those again, which I do constantly, because with our beloved decks, there's no such thing as knowing them to the full. We're constantly learning and discovering things about them. And I noticed that in all of the booklets on those that I have, the writing it's very analytical. It's very cerebral. This deck is very feeling oriented. And when we're doing shadow work, we kind of do want to drop away from cerebral, from analytical, and we want to drop into feelings, because it is feelings in our heart that's going to give us aha, that awareness that, oh, now I know what my shadow is. Now I know what I'm looking at. And it's going to also help you be more gentle with yourself. And this deck is very goddess energy, very divine feminine, mother crone energy. So it's like sitting down with amazing woman shaman and high priestess to do shadow work. So consider a deck of this nature, of this order. If you don't have this deck, look in your collection. Which deck in your collection feels like a crone, feminine, very balanced, but very soulful. And the booklet is also very soulful. Margaret Peterson deck comes to mind as well as something that is very soulful. For some of you, it might be Mother Peace Tarot. So think about something from a soul point of view. One of the oracles to think about when you're looking for another way to conceptualize what would be more conductive shadow tool is consider something like a human spirit oracle. Again, and this is, by the way, Amazon Rockwell Publishing. This is another example of something that's very soulful, very gentle, very connects you to aspects of humanity, connects you to yourself, very balanced, has aspects of elements of earth and fire and water in it. This is going to be another really good oracle for shadow work, because it has all of this combination. On top of that, it is somewhat collage-like, so great for free associations. It is also has fantastic color richness to it. Another great thing for journaling. So as you can see, the decks I'm showing, I don't think I have showed one dark theme deck. Even the Circle of Doors, being a black and white deck, does not feel like dark themed, because it is so nurturing, it is so sweet, that I just don't, I don't think you need those decks that we tend to consider the dark theme decks. You can do really well with wonderful decks like this. So this is Human Spirit Oracle. Another one that I would recommend. If one of the things I noticed recently, I've been recording so many videos, which I've been so enjoying doing. But in doing the videos, I have noticed that I have all these wonderful decks, and every time I pull a deck from my shelf that I haven't worked with, I suddenly want to work with it, and I just love how making videos creates that connection. And this one is not necessarily my favorite oracle per se, but I do think that as a point illustrates a good idea of differently looking at decks that might be good assistances for shadowing. To this poetess oracle. The reason why is because this has very abstract imagery. If you are the type of person who is more into abstract and abstract visual tend to appeal to you and tend to really speak to you, this might be a good deck for that. We're all different. Some of us really need all that color. Some of us need more abstract imagery. Some of us cannot do abstract at all. I have some decks that are so abstract that it's too much. So if you tend to be on a side of abstract, and when you see this type of patterns, they spike something up within you, that's also something to think about. So this is another example of how to pick a deck that is on a more different thematically. Oops, this is like upside down. That might be different thematically in terms of aesthetics, but you're looking at it now more from this abstract point of view. So do this for S's oracle. Kasia loves this oracle. Last time we did chat together, which was so much fun. And I mentioned that I have not been really using it. It's sitting there, she guessed. So you can use variety of decks. You can use the Rose Alchemy Oracle. You can use archetypal cards I have on the table right now to really get a grasp and understanding archetypally what's happening with the shadow you're working through. I mean, you name it. I'm just looking around what else do I have on my desk. The key I would recommend to think about going back to the base of who is my coach? What do I want out of a coach? And have that balanced approach. That's really, really going to be a key. And be gentle with yourself. Not all shadow work has to be confrontational and upfront. Shadow work takes time. There's a lot of resistance to it, whether you want to admit it or not. So be gentle with yourself. Allow yourself, maybe if you want to start off and you're really uncomfortable doing shadow work, start with a deck that you just know is going to be there for you. And if you feel like after working with it that it's not really pushing you a little bit more, bring another deck, combine them, combine that element of gentleness with something that now a little bit tougher coach until you're ready to move on to a tougher coach. But keep that in mind that you really want a deck that is a really good balanced coach, motivate you and challenge you when you need that, also support you and praise you when you also need that, and being able to recognize when you need to take a little break. So that's what I would recommend. Some of the decks that I showed. God, I love making this video. I can just talk about decks all day long. So comment below which one over the time, if you've been doing shadow work for some time, which one of the decks has been your favorite deck to work with and why. Share that down below. And I hope you all have a wonderful day. I'm going to go on and finish shooting the 5th video in this mini series on shadow work, like pros and cons type of tips. And hope you all have a great day. I'll see you all next time. Bye.